Rusty Wallace Hyundai. That's where my wife and I bought our new 2025 Santa Fe, and she says it's the best car she's ever had. We couldn't be happier with everything. Their team was great through the whole process, and their service department is top-notch. Check out their new location at 505 Callahan Drive in Knoxville, Tennessee, or at rustywallacehyundai.com. I've been on roughly 170 episodes of different podcasts, and I'm a little bit nervous about this one.
Are you really?
I'm only nervous because there's no buffer. Usually we've got people to kick things around with, and this one we don't.
I feel like I fly into this one just with complete and utter confidence because I feel like you are exuding the confidence that makes me feel so comfortable.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way because I don't. I don't really know what I'm doing here.
I would have never known it because you come into every podcast that you do like this is your job.
Well, I feel like it is, and I take it serious like it is. And, the kids, when I was telling them about this other podcast that we're doing, because I do a podcast with them too, and they said, well, what are you doing? Are you getting famous people on there? I said, well, no, I don't think so. She's like, well, you're not famous. I said, no, I'm not.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. And she said, well, you've got to have somebody famous or something on your podcast. And that's kind of what linked it when I was trying to figure out exactly what we're doing here. And that kind of linked it to where that's the key to this podcast is it's not famous people. There's everyday people in this world that do cool stuff. And that's what we want to highlight.
Absolutely. It's so fascinating. No matter what they do, there's so much in depth into it that just is kind of mind-blowing. I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff we've got coming up.
I know, me too. Then we've got the brother-sister duo.
Mm-hmm.
Brother-sister duo. That's hard to say.
Sister-brother duo, brother-sister duo.
I feel like the Righteous Gemstones, like Baby Billy, Uncle Baby Billy, and what's his sister's name?
Why do I want to say Missy? I can sing the song Misbehaving.
Yeah, it's Amy Lee.
Oh.
Uncle Baby Billy and Amy Lee. If you've not seen The Righteous Gemstones, you feel like you're going to hell if you do, but it's actually a really good show.
It's incredible. It's one of those that you do. You just feel dirty watching it, but you can't look away.
Yeah, so I don't feel like we were bred and raised to do this, especially me. I think you're more comfortable on camera. You do all kinds of cool things. Like, what do? You sell jewelry?
I do online jewelry sales. I have my own show on Monday mornings, which is live streaming. And then I do in-studio broadcast modeling for jewelry television.
See, and that screams like I'm on a podcast.
But I don't, my show, I do talk. But, for online modeling, I literally kind of stand there like a Barbie.
No, well, that's cool too.
Yeah.
See, I've always been more comfortable like doing like performances on stage.
Yes.
Talking on stage is a different ballgame, and I feel like it's harder because now you've got to do all the body language, but you've also got to put a train of thought together and then put it out there with an audience. And a lot of people don't like it, but I think in a podcast setting, we can bring on cool people that do cool things every day. We've got a dentist on. Mm-hmm. We've got a guy that flies helicopters for Lifestar, like an emergency medical thing, and then just cool people that do cool things. I think pest control, like you name it, we got it.
The pest control one I'm super excited about, but it's stuff like that people would never think about, but it is really cool.
Well, yeah, and then I was talking to the kids. Apparently I talk to them a lot. And, everyone has their own brand of some sort, whether it's a hobby or if it's what they do as a job, or maybe it's just their family. But what is your brand? When I was trying to outline mine, right now, my brand is just my kids and podcasting, and my work is work. I don't really think of that as my brand. And I'm in law enforcement. I do it for a corporation, and these are my opinions, not anything of the corporations. But it's a job. A lot of people live law enforcement like it's like security guards with Roadhouse, like that's.
Or I think of Paul Blart and his pixie sticks.
Right? Yeah, that's not me. That's not my brand. That's what I do for a job.
Exude. If I were to see you, I didn't know you, I would think a couple of things. Seeing you walk around the way you carry yourself, you're either in law enforcement or military. Those would be one of my two picks.
Oh, well, then my brand is accidentally that, because that's not what I want to push out. Not that I don't like it, but it is. You got to have more than your job.
Right.
In my opinion. And podcasting has been a hobby that's turned into, I'm not going to say a career, but it is self-sufficient these days.
For you.
It is a passion. I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And podcasting started back in 2020.
Gosh, that feels like forever ago.
All right. So it was, let's back up. It was Thanksgiving 2020. We were coming to your house, and with the whole COVID protocols and everybody's kind of crazy about it, we had some elderly folks that were very uncomfortable with getting together under the COVID stuff, right? Because I was not COVID friendly. I went everywhere, did everything.
Especially with kids, small kids. People didn't want to be around them at that time either.
Exactly. So to accommodate that, I sat at the kids' table. And it was probably one of the coolest experiences that I had. So I left there and I was telling Terry, my wife, I said, well, they need a podcast. Like, they need a podcast. So that year for Christmas, Santa Claus brought, hundreds of dollars worth of podcast equipment to my kids.
Yeah.
And we called it the kids' table. It was my kids and your kids. And I brought it over here. We set it up. And I say over here, it's to Savannah's house, your house. And I set it up and I tried to let them run it. And it was rough.
We're going to have to go back and listen to some of those early recordings because I can't even imagine.
Oh, it was awful. And it's not because of them, but you give 4 kids a microphone, like, they're not going to talk. So I backed up, and the podcast equipment that I got, even though it cost hundreds of dollars, it was still junk.
Yes. I mean, the steps that you've gone through to find the perfect equipment, because Steven has essentially built this incredible studio. It's all his stuff that's just amazing, but you've taken the time and trial and error with each microphone to find the best.
Yeah. So, and it's been through with help from you and everyone else. I mean, it's not just been me, but it's a platform. And so I took that. We took 2 years off. I met our pastor before he was a pastor of our church. And I said, man, I've got this really cool podcast equipment stuff. We can do a podcast for the church.
Hey, this is Pastor Corey. Would love for you to go check out our podcast, the Just Jesus Podcast. And if also you would like to go on our website, justjesusnow.com, you can check out some of our church services and some of our merch. Be blessed.
So me and Mila, my oldest daughter, we pulled all this stuff out of the closet and we set it up, and it was super cool, but it was still trash. So we're testing it, we're recording it, and we came up with this slogan. We're like, let's do our own podcast, Mila. We're just going to call it. And she said, well, let's call it Mila and Me. She said, but I'll be Mila, you be me. I said, okay.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'll be me. You just be Mila. And Maddie, my youngest daughter, she comes in there and she said, wait, why don't I get to be on it? And at this time, she wanted nothing to do with it. So I said, well, okay, we'll just call it Mila and Mads. And they said, well, you got to be on it too, Dad. And I'm saying, well, then Mila and Mads with Dad. And it just kind of stuck. So we took that off and we had a cool experience. We got to go to like some local radio stations. We've done some cool things. And it's not like booming the charts of the podcast, but it's super cool. We've got a small little cult following, I'm going to say. Just
absolutely.
It might be local. It may be a little broader. I think we're in, 30 states or something, a couple different countries. It's really cool. But all that to say is that it doesn't take to be famous to have a podcast.
No, not at all.
It just takes a lot of research and a little bit of money. Well, I never backed up and said that I bought a bunch of cool stuff other than the junk we had.
Yeah.
But so it doesn't take all that. But your general person, even if they have a cool story, they don't have a way to be on a podcast. They don't have a way to make a podcast unless they go pay someone or buy a bunch of stuff. So I want to create a platform where we bring on people, let them share their story, let them share what they do. And that's what this is. Propped up. Propped up is although it sounds like we got our feet propped up like Sven over here.
I know, always.
That's what it sounds like. It's like, oh, they're just propped up, like their feet hanging up. But actually, I heard an old joke. It was a guy, and it wasn't a joke. I don't know why I said it was a joke.
People always ask me, well, why is it called propped up? And I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to find out from Steven.
Yeah. So the phrase came from, it's a pastor who, after hearing a man pray with the phrase, he always ended it with, prop us up on our leaning side. And he'd do that every time. And he asked the man, he's like, what does that mean? And the guy told him, he said that he lived on a farm and he had an old barn that was leaning and he had it propped up to prevent it from falling. and the side that was propped up ended up being the strongest side. So it's all the things in our life that prop us up, that make us stronger, whether it's your faith, your family, your fitness, whatever it is. Those are the things that keep us up. And that's what the podcast is named after, not just propping your feet up.
But I think that's awesome because that really encompasses what we want to do here. We're going to be propping up others and letting them showcase who they are and what they do.
Exactly. Give somebody that normally wouldn't have a platform, and not saying we're not going to have celebrities. We're not going to have super powerful people that doesn't need this podcast to have a platform. But we also want to provide a platform for those people. I mean, it's going to be cool. And it's neat for us. I think it's all an experience that I'm looking forward to.
For us to just get to hang out. And I mean, we're so close in age. We've always been really close and really good friends. So I think it's just another thing for us to get to do together.
Yeah, I think it's great. And so this first episode is actually recorded retroactively after a couple of different ones. So you started off as the producer running the cameras and trying to get things going.
I did. I got to sit back there with all the equipment. Well, then we quickly learned that I wouldn't keep my mouth shut. And I was not so great at moving the cameras off and around.
So here I am. I'm doing that part now. But you bring such a great aspect to it and a different personality that's really needed to just be able to highlight our guests. Because this podcast isn't about me and you. Nope. We're going to be on it. We're going to share experiences. But it's all about bringing out the real person, the real guest, and the real spotlight of the episode.
Yeah, I'm excited. I cannot wait to kick everything off.
Awesome. Well, I think this wraps up the first episode because this isn't about me and you. We just want to explain why we're here, what we're doing, and what to look forward to on the upcoming episodes.
Sounds good.